I need something, been feeling it forever. It's calling me. We need to go together. A journey through sunshine and stormy weather. We'll make it through. Let's all go together. I need something. What's calling me? Let's all go together. I need something. What's calling me? Let's all go together. I need something. What's the matter? Let's go. Let's all go together. I need something. What's the matter? Let's go. As long as we're together, then we'll never be alone. I'd rather be here than be on my own. Let's all together. I need something. What's calling me? Let's all together. I need something. What's calling me? Let's all together. I need something. What's the matter with you? Who's calling me? Let's go together. I need something. What's the matter with you? Who's calling me? Let's all together.
Woo! Is
Woo!
that fun?
Oh, always good to start off the day with a little kitty love.
We're all in this together.
Wow.
It's
How are you? I like your pillow there.
Well, I had a busy week. I had to clean up the sound. Thank God we took care of that.
Oh, yeah. What was the issue with the sound?
I think I was running 2 tracks at the same time, and I had
Well,
to.
good.
I did a magic trick, and
Yeah, well, I know our viewers are going to be happy to hear that. I mean, literally to hear that. Because remember, I was the one who was the culprit. I was the one having all the sound problem for several weeks.
right, I remember that. So, how is life in beautiful Los Angeles? Let's just
Oh
start
my
with
God,
you
it's
first.
finally starting to cool off just a little bit here. We
Okay.
got another heat wave the first week of November. I know most people love hot summer weather. I'm that rare person. I actually like fall and winter. I like when it's cool and comfortable. I like to put my sweaters and scarves on. And it was like 85 frigging degrees and muggy. I was having to put my air conditioner
I
on.
remember, and I think I'm planning another trip out there.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to do a Christmas special out there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I didn't want to make it official, but yeah, we'll probably do something.
I'm so glad. Well,
Something tells me, I don't know. We could ask our audience. I mean, I always respect what they have to say, but something tells me that we will have if it'll be a lot better the next time.
Well, we had a good show when you were out here in LA. We had all that chaos leading up to it, when you lost your bag and at the cemetery. We talked about that this week. But you and I, once that countdown, at 3, 2, 1, you're on live, we always pop into place. And we were sitting together. It was the one time we've done the show together and not on split screens with you in Portland and me in LA.
Right.
And we were just having a blast. I don't think I made any secret of the fact I had a little wine cooler to the side of me. I don't know if you were having.
No, it's okay. We people traditionally drink at Taco Tuesdays. That's kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, we were just.
But I don't drink, but I let the guests drink. Sure, why not? I assume you're over the age of 21.
Well, yes. by a few decades, but yes, I'm over the age of 20.
You know, they don't do, excuse me, I swallowed my water wrong.
Oh, it's
Excuse me.
okay. I'll
They
just
do that in
keep talking.
Europe, but they don't do that in the United States. They don't drink out. Do they not? They don't do that. They don't have a glass of wine when they interview. I guess here in America, what is that?
Well, you know, that's been my experience, at least in France. You know, people think nothing of having wine throughout the day. It's just a very common accepted thing.
Yeah, and during our lunch break, we drink in Europe.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, for goodness sakes, when I was in Paris, they were serving wine in the McDonald's and the Burger Kings.
Oh, wow.
The soft drinks and the fries, you know.
That makes sense,
And
though.
oh, you know, I just got an announcement here. Andy Beshears won the race in Kentucky for governor.
Okay,
So
and so this is election coverage. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you haven't had, excuse me, a chance to like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Chuck and I are here trying not to get into too much trouble. Sorry. Also, Joel Tilson, please give a warm shout out to the amazing Joel Tilson. He is the floor director for the show. And sorry, something's setting me off. If you have any questions, Joel is here to help.
Absolutely.
And congratulations if you did vote. So is that the first results coming out tonight?
So far, I know that the polls in Virginia and Kentucky have closed. I haven't seen any updates since, but it's, you know, it is huge. Like Virginia and Kentucky both have 140 seats up for grab, you know, with their general assemblies, both states. So this is going to be quite decisive, you know, and it's also going to see how we're all anxious to see how the Democrats are going to be faring. Overall, it's going to be a barometer for next year.
Well, I think a lot of people are nervous. And I think the reason that a lot of people are nervous is because the issue of homelessness, rent, fears about war, excuse me, something's saying me off. People feel that, oh, I got to get my bread. Keep talking. I have bread. I've completely forgot about that. I ran out of bread. And
this wasn't a joke either. You know, we talked about this before the show.
But I think that the conversation today should be, you know, why is Biden down 11 points?
I just don't understand this. Yeah, and she's not kidding either, folks. She's actually baking bread right now. And I said, Whimsy, is this going to be where you're going to go off and get your bread and I'm going to have to take over the show for a while? Well, yes, that's what's happening right now. I just hope it's not like Lucy and her 12-foot loaf popping out of the door. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your beautiful comments here. Please chime in if there are any election results, any latest news that we can comment on here. This is a big day, a lot of anticipation. Oh, hey, Whimsy, how's the bread coming? Did you bring the bread with you?
So it's just a basic, you know, you can whip this up in a blender if you want to.
Oh my God. I wish you could send me a piece right now. I bet that smells incredible.
Butter top.
Warm bread out of the oven.
You can do vegan butter if you don't.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah. I ran out of bread and I got working and I'm doing a lot of writing right now.
Oh, good for you.
I could have, run downstairs, grab some bread. And then I thought, well, why don't I whip up some quick blender bread? You just throw, everything in the blender. And
blender bread, you know. Say that 10 times real fast.
Yeah, and it turns out beautiful. And what I do is I will actually let it rise the first time in the blender.
Ooh.
So my hands stay clean.
Let it sit in there with yeast and it rises, you know.
You can, but a lot of women do is they put oil around the whole thing so it doesn't stick. A lot of oil.
Yeah.
And then,
you know, I am one of the most helpless people in the kitchen. I can burn water. You know, the one thing I know how to do, I know how to make a really good carrot cake. And I don't even
I've had your carrot cake.
That's right. I brought that into work.
And I'm very upset because by the time I got there was nothing left. And he had this little tiny sliver from me, and he's like, "Here is your portrait."
Oh,
I felt
well,
like it was
maybe.
a scene from Anne Frank or something. He gave me this little tiny slice. I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Well, I tell you
I had
what,
to
when we
share it
do
with
the
like 20
show,
people. It was
when we do the
delicious.
show
It was
in
yeah,
December,
it's your mother's recipe, right?
yes, it's my mother's recipe. I think it's like a 70, 80-year-old Southern recipe. It is like Prozac. Everybody I give this cake to just gets so happy.
Yeah,
It
and
lives
it's
there
the
for food.
frosting too, the frosting.
Yes,
You just rub it
I
all over
make
your body.
everything from scratch. The frosting, I chop the carrots, I chop the nuts. It takes about 3
You
hours for
realize
me.
that what you've done now is you have to make a video. I
Yes.
know they're all going to want to see it. They're going to want you just to make the cake, and while you're making the cake, tell stories about Hollywood. Don't you think it'd be a nice thing to
Well,
have him in the kitchen making his mother's recipes?
I
Great stories about
guess
Hollywood, yes.
I guess that would work, but people are going to see me in my element where I'm swearing and cursing and like, you know, and flour everywhere and sugar. When I'm done, my kitchen looks like a nuclear bomb went off.
Me too. I'm very bad at that. So what are you eating and drinking? What's everybody eating and drinking? I'm actually having some golden chai because I still am healing from that stomach bug thing that I caught, but it's delicious. You know, your medicine might as well taste good. So I'm having a lot
Yes,
of
it
chai
should.
right now.
Put whiskey in it.
No, I don't
Put on-
drink. But,
no, I'm kidding you. But let's see. I always say when I'm having grocery store cherry limeade soda
oh,
water.
yummy. And I see the beautiful cup. All of the merch that you see goes to support the channel. I'm wearing a beautiful design by the amazing artist. Also, talent manager, Debbie Brady, creative director and talent management. Thank you so much, Debbie. Great job. And
Yeah.
so anytime you purchase any of this stuff, it does go to support the channel. And of course, other people are sharing what they're eating and drinking as well. I think I saw a couple people sharing their meals. Maybe grab a taco, watch the results out of Ohio. Now, we're waiting a lot on Ohio because of reproductive rights being such
Exactly. Abortion rights. Big issue there. That's going to be quite decisive with Ohio being a traditionally conservative Republican state.
right. Wow.
But it just seems thus far, whenever abortion rights are put in the hands of the voters, they emerge victorious time after time. So I'm anxious to see how Ohio is going to vote on this.
Yeah. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. We can go ahead and do the Empath prayer, and then we can get started with the show. I think everybody's here that's going to join us, right? We got like 139 people to get started. We usually get a few hundred. Yeah, a few hundred people decide to hang out and have tacos with us. Is anybody actually having tacos or margaritas?
I wish it was us.
Yes.
I wish tacos here and margaritas.
Why don't we do Christmas at El Coyote Live?
Yes, that's a fabulous idea.
They'll do it with us.
Yes,
they said we can go live, but we're going to have to really work on going into an area where the sound is not going to be crazy. We'll work on this. Yeah.
I love this idea.
Yeah, El Coyote Live for Christmas. I think it's a great idea.
Let me tell you, when I moved to Los Angeles in 1985, that was the very first restaurant I ever went to.
It's the very first place I went to too.
Yeah, it's just a landmark.
And it's not expensive. So the prices have gone up now. The prices have gone up.
I was there in February for the first time in ages, because of the pandemic and everything. I just did not do anything. I got out of the habit of socializing. And it was James Dean's birthday. And a lot of us decided to gather and have a birthday cake and celebrate James. And we did it at El Coyote. And I opened up that menu and I was shocked at how much the prices had gone up since I'd last been there. But then I probably hadn't been there in maybe 7 years.
No, I noticed it too. But, if you share a couple things, I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not too
impugn. Two people can still have dinner if you're not having drinks from, I think, under $40.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't mean to imply they're overpriced. Obviously prices are going to go up in 7 years, but they have the best margaritas. Oh,
what they're known for is they were known for their $1, then they were $2, then $3. I think they're $5 now.
Yeah. Oh, they're more than that, I think.
Seriously?
But I think so, but they're worth it. They're really worth it. They know how to do it right, and they know how to do them authentically. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, doing a live show from El Coyote.
Okay, we'll do it.
We're going to do a real Taco Tuesdays now, aren't we?
Yeah, well, Mexican Christmas is awesome. All right.
Oh yeah, very festive.
Well,
So
we're going to do the
so-
Empath's prayer, and then we're going to start on the show. Sound good?
sounds really good.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. And before we get started, I think you have an announcement about our monthly drawing for October.
Yes,
You want to
yes,
explain to
the
people
winner
what that
of our monthly.
You want to explain to people what the monthly drawing is about?
Well, the monthly drawing, if I remember correctly, is for a free half-hour reading with the incomparable Dr. Whimsy Anderson. And this lady is damn good.
Thank you, thank you,
Damn
thank you,
good.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, toot your own horn. You deserve it. Well, anyway, the winner of the month is Terry McGuire Solaris.
Terry McGuire Solaris, you have a free reading with me. If anyone would like to get a free reading for me and to be entered into the raffle, just join our fan club on Facebook. And so what you do now is you can just send me an email and we will set you up for a time that works for you for a free reading by contacting Whimsy Anderson at gmail.com. We'll get you a schedule for.
I am this lady's assistant. I can book the appointment if you have difficulty yourself.
Yeah.
We're both here to help you. Make it easy for you.
All right. One next announcement on the list. Am I putting this? Is it upright?
Yes,
backwards.
it's upright.
Is it up properly?
It's up properly.
Okay.
It's proper to me anyway.
As many
I'm looking at a little tiny screen here, but it looks proper. You know.
As many of you know, we have a book club where we select a book once a month from our viewers. If you are a professional writer and you're wanting to be discovered, you're waiting to hit the stage as a writer, and you need a little love and support from this community, be sure and send your book to Dr. Whimsy Anderson at 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. The information is in the description of the channel. Once a month, we select a book. And this month, we have selected Cutted Chicken in Shanghai. It's the winner of the Notable Indie Award 2014. It's written by Sharon Winters. And of course, you get a free copy. You excited about this one?
Of course I am. Every single book we've done thus far, I have loved.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just made the most wonderful discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
And I even feel like my dear Rosalia Scalia.
Oh, God, wasn't she incredible? Yeah.
She's incredible. Well, I knew her before, but we've just solidified our friendship. I mean, that lady's incredible. And yes, a phenomenal writer. But everybody we've had has been sensational. I have learned so much from these people. And the interviews have been a joy.
Yes, I think we should make them longer than 20 minutes. I feel like we're always running out of time.
Because I was going to say, once I finish the book, I'm like, I want to meet this author. I want to talk to them. We get to do it.
Well, yeah. Well, the reason I chose this book for the month of November is because November, as you know, is our Thanksgiving month here in the United States. And I wanted to do something that was focused on family, culture, community, and food.
That's a great
because that's really what November is about. And so that was why we get several people sending their books. And so I had to select which book for which month. Like for October, when I saw the various different, be careful, don't hurt yourself. When I saw all the books, we have books coming in. And when I had seen the intro and read parts of Calling of the Cards, I said, okay, I know what our October selection will be. So it's
Yeah.
kind of nice when you can have the book be associated. So basically, an American woman takes a cultural fling into China and finds humorous and engaging adventures as her Shanghai driver tries to keep her out of trouble in a land she struggles to understand. I can't wait I've actually been to Shanghai, and
My sister has too.
I'm just looking very, very forward to that. And I know that
My grandfather, I wish I had the photograph here. I have a beautiful picture of my grandfather, get this, in 1902. See, my mother had me very late in life. Her parents had her very late in life. So I actually have a grandfather I never knew. He died long before I was born. And I think he was born in like 1884
oh wow,
or something.
wild.
Well, no, that wouldn't be. In 1902, he was like 22, 23 years old. So I've got a picture of him, and it was done in a studio in Shanghai. It was stamped at the bottom.
Mhm.
My sister went to Shanghai a few years ago, and she found the area where our grandfather had been.
Oh, that's
He was
amazing.
quite an adventurer. Traveled the world when that was a very rare thing.
Shanghai is actually it's a very large city. It's a very modern city, and it's actually a really cool city. But
Well, my sister said part of it's very modern, and then there's another part that's very old.
yeah,
The old Shanghai.
yeah, a little rundown.
Yeah.
I wanted to just also acknowledge the painting back there has significance. We have selected another. You have decided to share another painting today. Do tell, dear.
Well, there's a reason for this. This is, of course, a lady that I am a huge fan of, Barbara Streisand. I actually have 2 portraits today of
Oh,
Barbara
wow.
Streisand that I did.
Very different.
This is
Yeah.
Funny Girl.
Mhm.
She won the Best Actress Oscar for this. She played Fanny Brice. And of course, this is from The Way We Were. And I thought today it was particularly appropriate because she released her autobiography today.
Oh, how interesting.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I have literally waited decades for this book. Literally. I became a fan of hers when I was 13 years old, and I saw The Way We Were in a movie theater. Saw Funny Girl on TV like a year after that. And then I started buying her albums, and I've just been hooked ever since. I've seen her 4 times in concert. I saw her speak at a tribute to her friends Alan and Marilyn Bergman. It's funny. I paid $350 for the first concert. I paid $5 to hear her speak. I always say I've seen her 4.5 times. And then Whimsy, Earth Bar where we used to work.
Yeah.
She came in once
Oh,
during my lunch break. During my lunch break is when she came in. I was like, no.
are you serious?
I'm very serious. I even saw the credit card slip. It was definitely her.
Oh, wow.
It just wasn't in the cards for me. It's the same way I missed Shirley MacLaine the same way once. But anyway, I loved her in The Way We Were. And I thought she looked so beautiful. Whimsy, Barbara had an inferiority about her looks. She thought she was so ugly. That's what she said that in an interview. I thought I was so ugly. And if you see The Way We Were, she was a swan. Look how beautiful she was, how she transformed, because she had that inside.
Well, her eyes are very beautiful.
Oh, her eyes are stunning. And she had an incredible interview on Howard Stern this morning, 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
And she said she may very well be retiring soon. She's tired of public life. She wants to just devote the rest of her years to her husband, her grandchildren, her dogs, her home.
Mhm.
But I've heard people who have met her that she's actually a very warm, sweet lady. She has that image of being the bitch, being temperamental.
Don't make eye contact.
But she said yeah, I know, which she said is not true. But she said on Howard Stern today, she said she has tinnitus, serious, and it's this ringing in her ears. And she said whenever she's grouchy or perceived as bitchy, it's just because she's so annoyed with the ringing in her ears, and sometimes she's just irritated. That's all it is. Someone just said here, I went to high school with a woman who was once Barbara's personal assistant. Wow, I'd like to hear those stories. So anyway, I don't want to monopolize the show, but of course,
So
here's
if anyone would like to buy any of Chuck's art, or if you'd like to commission him for a painting, check out chuckdransfield.com or reach out directly to his talent manager,
Debbie Brady.
Debbie Brady.
Yes,
So,
and also
yeah.
my email, dransfieldchuck@gmail.com.
So the next thing people want to talk about has to do with the fact that Mathew Perry's funeral. You want to talk a little bit about that? I did have some film footage, but I think a lot of people have seen it, and it's just so sad. I guess he has now been buried, but yeah, the whole cast of Friends was there, and
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess she was the first to arrive. They say she kind of stuck with herself. Now, did she date Mathew Perry?
I don't think so. The stories might come out later, but I don't think it's ever come up that any of the 6 cast members were ever involved with each other in real life in that respect. Now, it is true they were very close. They definitely had a family camaraderie, and I believe that had much to do with the chemistry on the show, why they were so successful. You saw they loved each other for real. You could always feel that underneath.
I think all the men wanted to date Jennifer because when you read Mathew Perry's biography, he says that he's kind of in love with her and he wants to have a relationship with her, and then she's the one that confronts him about his drinking. And he also says in the book that she had to go and talk to him and say, I'm dating Brad Pitt, like it's never going to happen with you. Like she actually had to. So it must have progressed to the point where he thought something was going to happen between them.
Yeah, something. I said last week, as tragic as his death was, it did not surprise me. It just seemed like the man was on a collision course. I mean, I don't say that to be cruel by any means. I say that with empathy and heartfelt compassion, but because I've known so many addicts in recovery and I've known alcoholics, I've seen even with the best of intentions, they still fall off the wagon. They still have, unfortunately.
It's starting to look like dehydration, though. I mean, they say he had a vigorous exercise. He did not drink enough fluids. There was no water. He just jumped into. It's I think people when they're 50-something years old and they didn't find opioids in the system. They didn't find.
Thank goodness.
I think people think they're young. I think that people, particularly if they're feeling good and they're going doing pickleball, I don't think he realized how much he had damaged his body up to that point.
I don't think so. And, because, Whimsy, we are of that certain age. And I'm going to admit, I still in my head think I'm 27 and I still act like I'm 27, but the body is anything but 27. And so we dilute, maybe I shouldn't say we, but I say I'm guilty of diluting myself and maybe doing semi-abusive things or being overly active or not getting enough rest or what have you. And I have to acknowledge that my body doesn't respond the same way. And maybe that was the case with Mathew.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's falling asleep. He's alert and smiling, and then he's dead. So that tells me he passed out. The guy must have had heat stroke. Don't you think?
Well, I know from my own experience, doing saunas at the gym.
Right.
I've been in clubs. I know how you can not realize how much it's affecting you. And I'm amazed more people don't have heat stroke that way. Because I have seen older people who have stayed way too long in saunas where they're just turning red and they're sweating profusely and they have to be seriously dehydrated. And you know what that does to the sodium levels in the body.
Well, exactly. That's why they think that he didn't replenish. And it's not enough. If you're doing something as aggressive as there's a lot of things that can go wrong when your fluids get too low. It can cause stroke. It can cause cardiac irregularities. The blood becomes thicker, which puts you at higher risk for clots.
Yes.
Or just if nothing else, you pass out because you don't have enough fluid in your body to pump blood to the brain.
Well, doesn't excessive heat, being immersed in hot water, even affect the kidneys?
Affects
And
kidneys, and it also causes vasodilation as the body.
that's just what I was going to say. Because, when you were training me to be your NDA, I remember when we did cardiology, we did kidneys,
Right.
I just had no idea how many functions these organs do. And you were the one who taught me about that, about kidneys regulating blood pressure and heart rate. So that's why it came to mind. Something could have happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of it's kind of a powerful testimony to just how the cumulative effects of bad daily habits. So even if you're clean and sober, it's not enough. Even if he was clean and sober at the time, really what we see from longevity studies is it's that consistent daily habit of self-care. And
Yes.
if you've had 40 years of abuse, it's really hard. Even if you're doing your best to take care of yourself, you have to work a little extra hard to take care of that deficit.
Exactly. There's only so much you can repair at that point in your life. But it was just unbelievably tragic. And I can't remember if I said this on the show last week. I had a friend. She's an energy healer.
Mm-hmm.
It was after he moved out of one of his homes up in the Hollywood Hills.
Right.
The owners of the house, I don't think it had been cleared out yet. Well, obviously it had not been cleared out. And she went in there to do her sage and her prayers and her ceremony. And she said it was trashed. She said there was like filth and garbage, and the furniture was all torn up and everywhere. She said it looked like a bad bachelor pad. That was like what she said was that kind of vibe, like bachelors, living there and just trashing the place. No, this was many years ago. This was like 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, that was just an indication of where his life was at that time. And again, I say that with empathy and compassion. I'm not saying it to be judgmental.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the other,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just got someone here just said Ohio, it passed. I know. Does that mean the abortion rights bill?
yes. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think you didn't somebody say that the numbers were looking at 65% yes on abortion rights?
I didn't see those numbers. When you contacted me before the show, I spent the afternoon like looking at New York Times and CNN trying to make notes, but that one I don't recall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the other thing is Rose Blue has a question. She wants to know about this issue that's coming up with border security. A lot of people feel like to heck with funding Ukraine. And, I don't totally disagree with them about wanting more border security, considering what's going on with the fentanyl crisis.
Yeah.
So, Rose Blue, Ukraine aid held up in Senate over border security. Is there going to be a solution soon? Let's take a look. I'm really happy with the results coming out, I have to say, from election night tonight.
We're depending on you guys to give us some information, give us some updates. Whimsy, I'm getting no. What are you getting?
Ukraine aid held up in Senate. Oh, so you're saying it will not be held up?
I'm just telling you what I'm getting. I could be wrong. I always acknowledge that. I'm always honest, but I'm just getting. I asked the question. That's what I get with my pension.
Yeah, I think that Biden very much understands that the border. He gets the problem. The house. It's interesting that they show you a little hobby house on here, but what I love about it is that when we think about the house, it's the White House, right? Yes. So the guy in the house, right? The guy in the house would be Biden trying to create a bridge. This would be the Constitution, the law, the books. Storms lay ahead. The bottom line is that they want to harm him a little bit. I don't, we can talk about the fact that he's down 11 points because of TikTok. I'm afraid of TikTok because of its power to destroy.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I agree with you.
so we do have this kind of clouds ahead. Final outcome for him is the clover. We get our wish, but we cannot be naive that the East is at war with the West, and anything that Biden does is going to be criticized by anybody who supports Eastern values, which is all about supporting dictatorships and hoarding the money. You look at the Tsar of Russia, which is Putin, right? You look at what's the imbalance of power in Iran, China, the fact that Elon Musk is totally into it. These are people that want the power in the hands of a few.
Yeah.
The Western global, the rest of us, right? The Western coalition is fighting is fighting. People fear it's a losing battle for democracy.
Yeah.
Um,
Ohio decriminalized weed. Marijuana is going
I
to
mean, well, I think it's over now. If we get 2/3, then it becomes so. When we look,
I was wondering how many states it was legal now.
yeah, I mean it's pretty much legal. We're part of the decriminalization law. Why that was so important when I remote viewed why they were doing the crime bill. What the heck was that what was going on there? Because they were telling us one thing, but when I remote viewed it, it was a bunch of Republicans that had to dismantle all of the cannabis laws because they were trying to make money off their dispensaries. And they were trying to create future customers, and we got to get rid of these laws first. So the whole purpose why the crime bill was Republicans and Democrats coming together is because the Republicans had a financial investment in legalizing weed.
Yeah, I've heard that. Well, I tell you, when because Ohio is just one of the most conservative Republican states in the nation. So abortion rights, weed passing, this is a big indicator of where things are going in the country, I think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I was just going to say, Debbie was just sending a thing here that Virginia declares state of emergency as wildfires burn in Shenandoah National Park. Well, I'm a native Virginian. I know the Shenandoah Park. This is horrible. I want to know more about this. I'm going to be watching the news afterwards. That's terrible. That's one of the most beautiful regions of the country this time of year during autumn. There are people on the Shenandoah Drive traditionally when the trees are turning red and orange and yellow. It's spectacular. I've done that before. Wow. So I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you there, Whimsy.
Well, it just sounds so beautiful. I mean, there's so many songs. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you right across the rolling river. You know that song?
Yeah, I know that. It's just I've even though I'm from Virginia, I've been out in California for decades, and here when it's perpetual summer, and if the trees change color, it's usually brown. Not beautiful shades of red, yellow, and orange. Now, here's a comment here, because I'm dependent on what people are saying here. Karen was saying, can we really say yes, pass with only 25% of vote counted? Now, that I did not realize.
I think that they look at statistics. If, for example, they've already counted a sizable amount of the conservative and they're only getting, say, 50% or a small percentage of support for the conservative cause, then they can call it for the liberal cause. It depends. It depends on which precincts are being counted. What they're basically saying is that it would be virtually impossible for them to catch up. The other thing that a lot of people want to talk about, Chuck, you and I were talking about this earlier when I was putting my bread in the oven, and not a baby. Literally.
I was just going to say that sounds a little dirty.
Yes, bread in the oven.
Your bread is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
People want to talk.
You know what this topic's going to be, Whimsy, but
well, people cannot stop talking about poor Ivanka having to speak tomorrow. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I did. Because I've been so busy, I have not been watching as much of the news as I should be. So I was under the impression she had testified the other day. And then before the show, I looked it up on my phone. It's tomorrow tomorrow. And I know she, no surprise here, tried to get out of this. She was claiming, oh, this is a hardship for me because my kids are in school. Well, the judge was not going to have anything to do with that. She's not under the gun herself. She's not under any charges, but she's going to be forced to testify not only against her father, but her brothers as well. It's a really awkward situation.
Yeah. And I guess my question to you is, do you, and I think people have asked this, we've talked a little bit about it last time, but I think we ran out of time. Now you're here. I'm sure people want to talk about it again. Do you think that is it public information that she made a deal and that part of the deal was to turn on her family? Is this public information?
I don't know. That's a very good question. It wouldn't surprise me since, she's, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't she be involved in this? Why is she getting off like this? I can't say this with any authority, but if you're asking a personal opinion, it certainly sounds to me like there was a little deal. If there wasn't, maybe somebody can shed some light for us here. I'm just looking at comments.
The remote view, I did a remote view on Sunday where and I did quick technique, you kind of put yourself in the shoes of the other person, you throw a few cards, and sometimes you'll hear yourself talking as the other person. And I was on the phone. I had a vision of myself as Ivanka. I was specifically told by detective so-and-so that I would not be called. And so Debbie was filling in and basically saying there's no guarantee. So if she is being called and is trying to resist, she probably didn't know until the last minute that she was, I think that they took her, I think she's shocked that she's being called up.
That might have even been an intentional tactic from the lawyers, to just surprise her like this. So she doesn't have any chance to prepare anything, and she has to just go there and testify fresh, and she'll have no choice. Maybe that is a tactic.
So yesterday it looked like they were going to have trouble convicting her or charging her of anything based on whatever she confesses to under oath. Yeah. And perhaps if she gave a deposition privately and stabbed them all in the back and wants private protection, like, hey, I stabbed daddy in the back, but I didn't, you told me you weren't going to go public with my deposition. Oh no, whoever told you that isn't telling the truth. Your entire deposition where you sold your entire family out is going to be publicly discussed on Wednesday. And you're going to tell everybody in front of court precisely what you told us in private. That is what it looked like to me as a remote viewer.
It's just going to be intriguing because, we know that her father was doing all of his little tricks on court, filibustering, just anything but talking about what he's supposed to talk about. And, at one point the judge said to the lawyers, would you please control your client? So I think it's going to be intriguing because she's not known to do that, I don't think. And her answers may have more validity and more value.
So I think that what people are wanting to know is, will much be revealed tomorrow? Because are we going to be able to see this? This is a big deal. Is tomorrow going to be the day when this all comes to an end? Is tomorrow going to be finally the day when she takes him out?
Whoa. Well, is she supposed to testify only one day, or could this go over a period of several days?
If I'm not mistaken, Debbie's the expert here. But I mean, if can't they call her in? No, you're coming back again tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm wondering and asking this question, like for the pendulum, is it going to be her total body of testimony, or you mean?
I just want to know how bad if. I'm really into this, folks, because if she was, how I've done remotes, okay? You know how
you've done remotes.
I'm a professional remote viewer, right?
Really? I didn't know that.
It's my job.
Well, gosh darn.
I use HCRV, right? And we've talked about
being very facetious, folks. She's incredible.
No, but I want to be very clear here because I also teach it. I'm a professional teacher. I certify HCRV. So
and you're future too. I know because you taught me third and fourth year medical school
Right.
material.
Thank
You broke it in a way that
but
I could understand.
But if you look at the class, right now we're going into week 7. I'm sorry, I had a commitment. I couldn't be in class last week, so we have it. But I can't remember which page it's on, but we go into what's called thought bubbles. And thought bubbles are when you go into a trance and you align yourself with the energy of the other person. And so you start, what happens to the remote viewer, here's some pictures for people, is you wind up in their thought bubble. Isn't that crazy? So then the remote viewer has to write the thought bubble, right? So that's what happens when you start using cards and do quick techniques. So I went into a thought bubble as her, and I was freaking out, which tells me, number one, she made a deal. It also goes back to the remote views we had talked about were Kushner. So it all turned out to be true. Do you see why? Thank God I've got witnesses to prove I'm not crazy.
Yes. I know. In the old days, it was your YouTube videos.
You believe? God, can you imagine what a difficult childhood I had? But yeah, it's all true. So Kushner got her to turn on her family to avoid a prison. But what it's saying in the remotes is that now she's going to have to confess to everything. The cards are basically saying it's all coming out.
Yeah. Well, there's an interesting comment here. If Ivanka struck a deal with the prosecutors, she will blow the deal if she becomes a hostile witness.
Oh, my God. Who said that?
Who said that? Debbie M. Debbie M. said that.
Okay.
No less than
right. Oh, my God. This is awesome. I love this.
Yeah, I know. It's like the ultimate soap opera.
Well, it goes back also to what Michael Cohen said, thought bubble. When I put myself in the shoes of Michael Cohen, the first time I made contact with Michael Cohen, he was praying. The next contact, the next vision, I was sitting across from Robert Mueller, and he said, you better start making some phone calls. You're going to be spending a lot of time in prison. And he called Ivanka, and he said, because they had taken everything, and they said, they got it all. They got your signature on everything that they had tried to hide over at Cohen's home. They got your signature on the doc. You better cooperate, baby girl. They've got your signature on the documents. So what happened? Robert Mueller sent everything over to New York. So what'd the remote say? Tell them I'm sending everything over to New York. Yeah. And then nothing happened. So we thought, well, I must be wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Anson. Then it all turned out to be true. And then they sent it to New York. And now, so now we come to tomorrow. It's the culmination of all this great. Mm-hmm. And she finally, oh God, it's like, I could get a stomach ulcer just watching it, just thinking about it.
This is like must-see TV. Oh, we did have a question here. What was that book with the thought bubble diagram? And is that part of the class materials for the HCRV training?
It's required if you want certification to buy the book. If you're just coming on Wednesdays because you're a member and you want to see what we're up to, tomorrow is class 7. Class 7 is exciting because class 7 of remote viewing is when we teach quick technique. And that's how you use a fetish object or cards to get into a person's thoughts, which is how we were able to find out about Michael Cohen, and then from there we were able to leap over to Ivanka Trump, because what can happen is you will get the thought bubbles of target 1, Michael Cohen, and then he'll have a love stream to somebody like Ivanka, calling her baby girl. And then that love stream allows me to get to her, and then I start fiddling around with her energy, and it's like, well, what's that? It's really, when you think about it, it's rather morally wrong what I'm doing. Yeah. So that's so
incredible. Well, I will be anxious to watch the news tomorrow. In between Barbara Streisand's autobiography, I have the audio book.
So I forgot to ask the pendulum. Did the pendulum say?
Oh, I didn't even ask. What was the question? I need a yes or no question.
If her testimony is going to be responsible, because they're saying her testimony is specifically to convict her father and brothers. Think about that. They're actually saying that her testimony is specifically by the prosecution to take them out. So what she did privately is no longer private.
Okay, Whimsy, when I get it going diagonal, that I don't mean this to sound wishy-washy, but it's saying maybe. I think there's still a lot of variables here, and this testimony could be going over several days. We don't know if it's just going to be tomorrow, but that's honestly what I'm getting. I'm not, at first it was kind of like, no, and then it drifted up to maybe. Will it eventually? Then it's still not an affirmative yes, but when I say will it be eventually, it starts moving from maybe toward yes. So it moves closer in that direction.
Oh yeah. I totally am with you, because look at these cards, which mimics what you're saying. She got a gift, the engagement ring. They saved her ass.
Mm-hmm.
So look at her on the witness stand. Here's her on the witness stand tomorrow.
Okay.
The seductress.
Yes.
Lovely.
Oh yeah.
Who was given a gift.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think she does? You just
throw daddy under the bus.
The polar bear.
The polar bear.
She becomes a polar bear. I cannot recall. I do not remember. I cannot recall. So what happens as a result of that? She's trying to ride both sides of the fence, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, that's
bear.
I'm
going to get my wish. You know what I told you privately, but I'm going to try and be as vague as possible on the stand. You know what? She's going to screw herself over if she's not careful. She could be charged for what the person said about obstruction, because she's got the magnifying glass over her.
Because pop-up message. I apologize for that. Showed up on my computer.
It's okay.
That was my sister of all people. She knows better than to do that. But I definitely, as I said, she's her father's daughter. It's in her DNA to do these tricks, and to try to fudge things and throw people off the scent. Her father's, of course, the master at it. We saw what happened yesterday, and the judge was just not tolerating it. And I'm sure the judge will not tolerate this from Ivanka either.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
I think the thing that blows my mind is that tomorrow it's just so obviously her versus them. I mean, how in the world could their relationship as siblings, what is this doing to to Donald Trump's mental health, to see her stab him in the back like this? Well, because when you go into the remote, it's like they show all the documents to Ivanka and they say, how did this scam work? Well, this is where we would get them to sign this document. Here's where we would get this signature. Here's how we would avoid paying this tax. She's basically showing them how the scams operated.
Yes. It's a position. None of us want to be in this. Those of us who have loyal to our families. Imagine being forced to testify against your father and your siblings. Just looking at it from a family level. And of course, it's highly notorious and it's playing out before the whole world. And happens to be that our daddy was president of the United States. It's like the ultimate soap opera, the quintessential almost.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as we had talked about, and we wanted to cover that stuff first, and now we'll go into the stuff that people were talking about. If we could please cover what's going on in the House. I'll try and find it and repin it. But are you worried? Go ahead, please.
Forgive me, please. I interrupt you, but the Kentucky governor wins re-election. That came in. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Was the Kentucky governor Democrat? Is that correct?
I don't know. Do I have a note here? I'm not sure. I apologize for that. Maybe somebody can chime in for us and tell us if he was a Democrat or a Republican.
I think he was a Democrat, yeah. And I think that he ran temporarily and people thought he wasn't going to get reelected or something.
Yeah. Oh, Yvette just had an interesting comment. That is why Ivanka is the last person to testify. Like they were saving the best for last. What do you think,
I
Whimsy?
think that's very true, but I also think it's just painfully obvious to me. It's just painfully obvious that she flipped, and it's just so obvious. How could she? How could it be
Right.
anything else?
I don't think so either. Oh, by the way, the Kentucky governor is a Democrat who won re-election. I've several people have chimed in there.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Joel, we're seeing your questions. Bombshell tomorrow, Ivanka. Yeah, we're trying to cover everything that he's covering. So the other question that people had to do with the security of the House and the fact that we don't have a lot of time to get it together in terms of making sure that we have a budget. I mean, how much time do we have? 30 days?
I think it's less than that. I heard it was the middle of November.
Okay.
And if that's correct, what is that, like a week from now?
I've never seen this level of dysfunction.
It's no, it's unprecedented. I've followed government, American history since I was a young kid. That's a long time ago. I've never ever seen anything like this. Where we were at the point of collapse. I made the comment a few weeks ago, I never worried about this. We'd be on the verge of shutting down the government because it always seemed to me like a ploy. They were like drama. They were playing on our emotions because they always came through at the last minute. But this last time we didn't have, a Speaker of the House, and it looked very well like the government could have collapsed. And even now it's frightening.
Okay. I think the first thing we'll do is we're just going to, let's just see how it feels if they're going to get to, if we're going to get to a budget by the 17th.
Are we going to get to a budget by the 17th? My pendulum went to a yes.
Okay. So then that would mean that they're going to do joint, they're going to do joint. Look, if they want to do the Ukraine and Israeli funding separately, I'm kind of annoyed about all of it just as an Israeli, because part of what they're paying for is Iron Dome. And they're complaining like, oh, we pay Israel for Iron Dome. Yes, because you don't want to go back to Lebanon. So what happened was America left Lebanon and Hezbollah moved in because hundreds of U.S. soldiers were blown up in Lebanon. So we paid Israel, you go ahead and you watch Lebanon. Well, now our country is being bombed and we have to put up and say, well, we don't want to pay for that. Well, then come back and secure the area. You want us to be the front line of the Western Front. If we're going to be if we're protecting the Western Front, come on now. Crazy times. I don't know. We have this seductive energy coming in. So everybody wants a piece of the pie. The other thing that makes me nervous about seductress over Congress, it's like, what's your agenda? Who have you seduced? There's the bill. And then here again, offers. So I'm worried about lobbying and special interests coming up. I think that everybody wants a piece of the pie. Everybody is seduced. Seduction, man. Everybody is owned by someone.
That's distressing. Does not surprise me.
But I agree with you. Final outcome sails through.
Yeah. We just, with the big election coming up in a year, the Republicans have got to be careful. So that would be beyond catastrophic on multiple levels.
Yeah.
If they were not to pass a budget.
All right. So this last question, people wanted to know about Ukraine. Joel was bringing up concerns about the Ukraine war, the fact also Putin's health. It's come out now that the Kremlin is deliberately spreading false rumors that he's dying in order to gouge public sympathy. Yeah. But we can go ahead and throw on it. Maybe he really is sick. I think he fidgets, and I think he may, maybe he takes certain things that make him fidget. But let's go ahead and see if Putin is sick. You want to just do that? If he's seriously ill or not?
Yeah.
He is. No.
Whimsy, should we even ask if he's not even on the earth anymore?
I don't think we're allowed. Are we allowed? I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
I don't know if we can ask that. I'm just wondering if I ask my pendulum that, is he sick and he's dead? The answer would probably be no, because but I don't know. I'll ask the question to it. So ask, is Putin sick?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Putin sick? Now I'm getting no.
Interesting, his mental health. Here's what I think happened. I think he's emotionally irrational. I think that now it's coming out that Iran was planning this attack with Hezbollah and Hamas for a year. And now Putin is claiming, oh, yeah, I knew about my friends Iran and what they were planning. Then they just happened to do it on his birthday, and he's the one supplying weapons. Or the supplies for building weapons. They got a little trade going on, right?
Yeah.
I think he is so insane. Did he think the Jewish people, if that massacre of 1,500 people and the brutality of it, hiring his own army to do that, did he really think that this? I don't think he thought about the consequences of his actions. He eats himself. No. He is the guy who eats his own tail. The snake eating his own tail. Look at this. Smoother waters, lovebirds. He's giving lovebirds. Come on, we love each other, Israel. I mean, the guy is a wingnut. I think the final outcome.
Strong yes on, is he mentally ill? That came through loud and clear.
I think the fact that he got. No, I don't think. I think there's a lot of rumors about him, but I'll tell you, with that snake eating its tail for Putin, this is a guy who. If the Russians don't take him out, the Israelis might, because this is a guy who has really sabotaged all of his personal interest.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I've been amazed there has not been an uprising just from the citizens of Russia. When there were all the economic sanctions, I thought there would be just so much outrage. Right. And unless that's just not being reported, we're not hearing.
Well, I think that there were a lot of protests that were brought down, if I'm not mistaken, like Pussy Riot. They had to leave. People are getting murdered. Some of the protests, some of his opposition party are in prison. You can't have free and fair elections. The East has a different set of values than the West. They're not. We assume that everybody has Western values, but Putin's not interested in his citizens having free and fair elections.
No. Yeah. God, no. Yeah. As Colleen just said, the propaganda inside Russia is terribly effective. And that's been the case for decades.
Yeah.
We don't know what's really going on in there. Yeah.
Well, did you have a good time, my love?
I always have a good time with you. I do this show on Tuesdays. I'm doing my own on Wednesday. Chuck's captivating chat.
Yes, we tried to visit it, but we will go to your chat, but just make sure the premieres.
Yeah. Oh, well, how I went through my growing pains with you? Mm-hmm. Well, that first show, you made the comment, why didn't you start your show at 5? It was because we were trying to get Restream to work, and Debbie.
When you do setting it, just make sure you've got the right time there. It's just because it lets you pick.
Well, we were just trying to get it set up that first time and get it to just work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like 5:15 and all that. It's getting better. Yeah. It's getting better. But I'm flying solo and I'm making all my mistakes publicly in front of everyone. But yeah, it's 5:00 tomorrow West Coast and 8:00 Eastern. Just throw that out. And it's because of you, Whimsy. Because you've just been giving me all these opportunities. And I tell people all the time, you take me out of my comfort zones and you get me to do things where I find that I can do more than I thought I could. And I've said that to a lot of your clients that I call, and it's just true. And Debbie does it. And so we're doing the show on Wednesday now. Talking about old Hollywood, current entertainment news. We didn't even have time to talk about the SAG strike today on your show, so I'll do that tomorrow. I always do a Lucille.
Yeah, so much stuff to talk about. Yeah, but yes.
We could have gone in 3 hours today. I think.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get in for a reading with me, if you need just a quick 5-minute reading, please check out my information on Wizio. If you need to speak to me for a 30-minute tarot reading by phone, that information you can also find in the description of the channel. Also, please check out our fan pages, and thank you to Debbie Brady, who is overseeing that. Remember, once a month we pick a free reading to a fan. Hopefully that'll encourage people to join the Facebook fan pages. Other than that, I think we're done. I think we're out of here. Anything
I
else?
guess we are.
Yeah.
This was a fast hour.
I know. It was over an hour. All right. Thanks, everyone. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, love you.
Bye.
Bye.